All right, here we are. This is episode 408, Coushatta. This is directed by Jim McKay and written by Gordon Smith. And I'm Peter Gould, co-creator and executive producer.
Melissa Bernstein, executive producer.
I'm Gordon Smith. I wrote this episode.
I'm Jim McKay. I directed it.
Russell Scott, casting director.
And there is a lot of cast.
There was a lot of casting in this episode.
Yes.
It was a packed house.
A lot of it from our fabulous local casting director, Kira Arai, who does an amazing job.
Here, here.
The first of many VFX shots here. We had to remove a Greyhound from that and add Transit Center.
And Sightline.
Yeah, we did.
I just love this piece of music, and I don't know what to say. As we go on, there's more jazz on the show, which I guess is my taste. I don't know.
We shot the bulk of this sequence on a series of roads around sort of a loop going back to from around the studio and to the racetrack that's nearby, and just had a splinter unit of very few people. Just shooting Bob. We were just like, all right, we just need to show the process of him doing this, how much work went into this crazy letter writing, which, by the way, also, if it makes anybody feel any better, that's as much work as our props crew and all the rest of us had to do to try and figure out, pick pens and letters and put together that notebook and names, and it was a Megillah.
Best props crew ever, I gotta say.
I agree.
Hey Jim, I have to ask. This is a montage here. How do you think about this? How do you plan it? And how do you know when you've got enough?
We did we storyboarded the whole sequence because we wanted to be careful about passing of time and what we were seeing out the window and things like that. And then we just kind of shot the hell out of it. And Bob was so game. I mean, just sitting in that hot bus, driving, and he went like above and beyond, really, a lot of the stuff that he's, no, I gotta get this pen and I gotta get this piece of paper. We haven't done that yet. And here's our traveler.
Yeah, I think he picked up a bug doing this because he just worked so hard in this sequence that he got a little sick the next episode, I think. But yeah, he was totally game and just threw himself into it.
Gordon, when you say it's a splinter, well, actually, Melissa, when it's a splinter crew, what does that mean?
That means it's a smaller crew. You take only who you need. And Jim and Gordon and Anna Ramey Borden, our AD, who did an incredible job organizing this episode, are on the road, making this happen while we're shooting another day on another episode back at the stage or on a location.
So the Better Call Saul, there was a lot going on. And now, you guys actually, is this Shreveport? Did it take a long time to go to Shreveport?
It did. It was a very long bus drive. Weirdly enough, we never left Albuquerque's roads. We just got to Shreveport.
When I saw the first edit of this opening, when Chris, the editor of the show, sent it, and I saw it, I was just like, holy shit. He rocked this. It's just relentless. It doesn't stop. The energy's amazing, and I was just like, man, I am very lucky to be working with this guy, this Janetta.
We were very lucky also to find this stretch of road where we were hoping not to have to shoot this green screen to get, trees and greenery out the windows. And our locations team found the swampiest part of Albuquerque to shoot with us.
This is Bubba.
Yeah.
Played by Vas Sanchez.
And because this is a splinter, and the right now, while this is being shot, this is the last thing that's shot in the episode, I believe. Vince, who's directed the next episode, is there with the main unit. He's back at stage or at his location, and Marshall Adams is there with Vince. So this sequence is actually shot by Paul Donchke, who's usually our A camera operator, and he did a wonderful job.
Very talented cinematographer in his own right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't use swears.
A little improv there.
A little improv from Mom, but
But it's one of the things I love that you did, Jim, here is just the faces of the people and the so grounded, the reality of it. It's just a great feeling of moving across country and just feeling like these are all real folks.
Here's a big reveal of our VFX shot.
Yes.
Wait.
This is a big VFX shot.
What?
What?
True.
Everything from the roof line of that building up is, well, not the flag, but everything else is VFX. Basically, we had to put in it's a small church in Albuquerque, and then we had to do the trees and all of this stuff. And it's hard to tell, but it was an incredibly windy day, and Jim, you had this beautiful techno crane shot and this move that we were worried about because of the fact of that wind, just relentless wind.
Many of the takes were essentially a dust cloud.
Yeah, we had to get a plate of dust with our VFX supervisor was on the day.
It's a ridiculous effect shot because it holds for so long.
Yeah.
And probably something that we wouldn't have even attempted a couple of years ago.
Never a bad thing to have a dog just hanging out and a guy riding a bike. by.
Riding a bike.
That's Lulani's dog, our second AD. And we had another we thought we had another part of the sequence scripted, which was Jimmy going back and falling asleep and on the bus alone, but because he's accomplished his thing. But I remember watching that on the day, and it was like, oh God, you just go out on that bike going. Like it was so clear even from the moment, just like once we landed, once you were like, yes, that perfect, good.
That's such a special teaser, and I just love the feeling of it. Makes me happy every time I see it. And this, of course, is also a really fun sequence. Nacho's moved up in the world.
And an excellent piece of casting here from Russell Scott and his colleagues.
Yeah, I love this actor. I had actually just started watching the show High Maintenance, and he was in one of the early episodes.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
That's right. He is. He's like one of the bodybuilder guys,
Yeah,
isn't he?
yeah.
In that episode where he goes and delivers.
That's a weird episode.
Keelan Jones.
Kalen Jones,
Yeah.
he's great.
Yeah, he lives in New York, but he happened to be in LA when we were casting this, and so we were lucky enough to have him in person in the room. But one of the great things about casting as far as the show shooting in Albuquerque is that everyone has to travel there. So we can pull people from New York and Chicago and all over the country. And we're not limited to.
Right. Yeah, he was great. He did so much, but with
Sorry, we all stop commenting because we're all wincing.
I mean, that was what we kept hoping for. We like worked on that gag of the ear thing and wanted it to just feel like when it happened.
And that's kind of a combination makeup effects, props, right?
Yeah, and they did great. I remember seeing the video when they first tested it and just like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that looks scary. Really nice job.
But it's also shot. The way you shot it, Jim, it's so matter of fact. You just don't think about it as an effect. It just feels real. And that's one of the things I love about, and I'm just going to embarrass Jim, I just love how grounded and real, because every bit of this is, all the moments between the characters always feel honest. And just it has a reality to it that I think is special, but it's also heightened like the rest of the show. But it's attention to detail, but it's also there's something ineffable about what a director brings, and this is really special work.
This next shot is one of my favorite shots that we did when he's a couple shots from here. When he walks in, we dolly across the house after this living room scene. And these two actresses are just great, Erin and Katerina, who started picking her toes. And I was like, that is awesome.
We wanted to get a glimpse into like Nacho's change of circumstances, or what he seems to be he's in the catbird seat now. And is he enjoying the trappings of his success, of his rise? And
It's a very nice house.
Yeah, and that's the thing. In some ways, he is living up to the hype, and in other ways, he doesn't seem to be. We wanted to kind of show that this is not bringing him any joy. This is not great. Even though he's got girls, he's got a nice house.
This is young.
But this shot is great.
And we've never gone home with him.
No,
which
we've
is
never gone home with him.
Exciting unto itself.
Not what I would have expected.
It's a hell of a place.
Yeah.
Judy, of course, this was all bare bones, and then Judy came in, and I guess folks
live there.
actually live there. Yes.
This woman was having a baby, like within weeks of this shoot date. Very generous homeowner that welcomed us in to
Albuquerque.
her beautiful abode.
Yeah, very nice.
Albuquerque's so good to us. And then,
But
of course,
reminder that it's been a while since we've seen Nacho, and so he's healed up from his injuries back in 403 and 404.
Michael's really precise as an actor, just all these details, running through them and getting them all right. I really enjoyed watching this sequence when I watched back. Just the time it takes. I think you have a lot of Yasuhiro Ozu fans probably watching this show. and that is the highest compliment I could personally pay a TV show.
Manitoba. Is that a tribute to Michael Mando's Canadian roots?
Maybe a nod, but also it felt like a good place for him to, if he's going to run, it might be a good place to run rather than run south, run north.
Given who he's running from.
Giving who he's running from, exactly. Not that the Quebecois mobsters are anything to sneeze at, but he hasn't run afoul of them yet. Trafficking in maple syrup.
I guess when I got the script, one of the first things I was looking at is where are we going to be inside of things and looking out, because that's totally a staple of the show. And that was one of them.
Sherry also did a great job on the tattoo here on this woman's back, which was
With
not
Ashlyn's
real.
help, yeah.
We don't tend to see a lot of scenes like this on the shows, but we felt like, Mike felt like he needed to give these guys some R&R. We did pitch briefly that maybe he took them to trivia night, but we thought that a strip club would probably be more up their alley.
This could be the end of a long day, though. They might have gone out on some.
That's true.
Some
They might have gone
off-road. They might have done some off-roading.
They might have done
and-
trivia night before
Yes,
this.
exactly.
So
This is not these two, their jam. Out they go.
No, it's
our two old bulls are not interested.
there's nothing more depressing, in my opinion, than a strip club. There you go.
But they bought the place out, so
There you
they
did.
have their
There you
their
did.
little private show.
There you
and
did.
But this is more Mike's.
And this is
This is truly Mike's scene. This
Yeah.
is his bar.
his bar. We've seen many a time.
He's brought Werner to his home away from home.
The hammer. Learn the work from doing the work.
And I love what they do here. The two of these guys. It's a rare moment of just kind of like, what would Mike be like to have a beer with? Because usually he drinks alone. he's a sad solo drinker, but it's nice to see him kind of bonding with Werner.
Reiner, one of the things I love about his performance is he's so physical. He's always he's not just acting with his face or with his voice. His fingers are telling you so much about what he's thinking. If you're seeing his feet are telling you something. He's a very he's a total actor, and he's also, by the way, a guy who's having to act. I think this is the first time he's had to act in English, I believe. He has not acted in English an awful lot.
No, he hasn't.
And it's boy, what a challenge.
Yeah, we We're very fortunate to, we knew ahead of time this role was coming up and that it was going to be really important, and he was in a lot of episodes. And the people at Sony were great to let us look for actual German actors who lived in Germany, who, haven't done American television. And we did a huge search in Germany as well as all in the States. But Rainer was amazing, and we went very international with some casting this year, because we also have Tony Dalton coming up later, who is a very successful Mexican actor.
His legacy.
You ever think about
Though both these guys are just absolutely stars, and
Yeah.
we're so lucky to get them. And the truth is that Rainer and Jonathan got along great, they spent a lot of time together. Rainer brought his family with him to Albuquerque, and it was, I think, the first time that they'd spent a significant amount of time in the States, and it was really nice, although frankly much sadder later in the season, of course. And by the way, for everyone, he didn't say that his father was the architect of
No.
of the
He says
Sydney
he
Opera
built it.
House. He was yes. He
Felt
was,
like he's,
he was a construction engier or something like that. Yes.
he helped,
Yes.
but neither did the architect build it.
Was that an internet
Yeah,
reaction?
so we had some folks angrily,
Gotta give him
shake their
something to talk about.
pitchforks.
Gotta give him.
There's that troublesome Kai.
Yeah.
Another German.
Another German.
Ben's great.
And Ten Bears Souter, who was also a local hire, the bouncer.
Too much, and I'm here to get him out of your hair.
what about his buddies?
Well, they're not causing any trouble, are they?
It's a great name.
Those arrows were just a great addition to this really depressing building. They actually made it more sad than the outside. Right?
Those weren't there. This is actually the exterior of that bar, and those were added. You and Judy added those.
Yeah.
They're great.
Along with the lights being out, which I thought was a great touch. Just like, they're not all lighting up. It's like, you get the idea.
Yeah, we spent a bunch of time going, which one in the sequence should it skip? Yeah.
And I think we looked at 1,200 signs for like private event.
We did look a
closed.
lot of them, yes.
You know, you
It's
don't
there,
see
it's
it.
on the door. You can kind of, it's there, it's available.
Her trouble.
Well, hopefully, folks at home aren't assuming that the place is open to the public.
Yeah.
I hope, but
How could they with our beautiful sign?
that's right. There it is.
See? Fantasy world.
Back in the bar.
Back in the bar.
Back in the bar.
Oh, Werner.
How about
He's always getting into trouble.
Well, he's too friendly. He's got it. That's he.
His charm is his
Yeah, it's
greatest
Exactly.
failing.
Exactly. He's
And-
affable.
And Terry, the talkative guy there, is Tyson Theroux, who's a friend of mine, and is also was in one of Vince's episodes of the X-Files. He was actually in one of the episodes that Vince directed. He's a really nice guy and a very talented actor.
Yeah, Tyson's someone we've been trying to find the right role for on the show for a while, and he's great. And a lot of times actors, we keep bringing them in over and over again, and they get frustrated that they're not getting cast, but that means we like you.
Yeah.
If you keep coming in,
That's
then
right.
we'll eventually find the right fit, and it means you're doing it right.
Yeah.
That's so true. There's so many roles that we've cast on the show. Someone's come in for a role and they didn't get that one, but we remember.
Yeah.
We remember these folks, and Tyson was. Tyson, though, is pretty epic because I think he's been coming in. He's been coming in since Breaking Bad.
Yes.
But that's a great thing to say and for actors to know. That really a good thing to say, because boy, what a, to just keep going in and not getting it is.
And then also, no, they liked you, but no.
Right.
It's like, it is true. We see people, and it's like there's sometimes somebody just fits a bit better. So
Here's Ray.
here's Ray. I love this Stereolab song, which Thomas found for us.
And we got to wonder, what does Kim Wexler listen to?
I know.
I think it's also an example of when sometimes budget is actually a good budget problems or limitations are a good thing, because our initial ideas were very conventional about what Kim would listen to, and the truth is that this season we've spent a lot of money on music, and it just didn't seem right to pay what some of the more top 40 hits would have been. And this is
I'm just
perfect.
shocked that
this turns out to be perfect.
Would have been in our price budget.
Yeah.
That the
Well, that's
Stereolab would be okay.
The miracle of Thomas.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of discussions in the mix about when we would hear the music all the way and when it would be down, and I think we came to the right. This is a shot from season 1. There you go.
Mrs. Wynn.
Eileen Fogarty did a great job here.
I love when she pops up.
She's just wonderful.
You stick around?
And I love the fact that these two, their relationship is getting a little bit deeper here.
Yeah.
She's not just the annoyed landlady now.
Wife mad at you?
I think she likes him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
A lot of
she's
phones.
mad at you.
What?
So what's going on?
You know, so much is not talked about in dialogue in this show, and so there's this challenge of, like, they're in the bar, but no one's saying, "We took you out for the night." Let's, so how do you show, okay, you've got all their security guys, lined up, and and here too, like, okay, we have to plant what he's doing. No one could watch the scene though and really know what he's doing, but when you look back at it, right? And I think that's one of the nice things, is just setting up things to tell a story without always speaking the story.
It puts a lot of responsibility on the execution.
Yeah.
If you have it all in the dialogue, then you kind of, it's going to land. But, for instance, having the security guys visible, it means it has to be shot the right way. It has to, so those things land, and that's not automatic at all. So we're asking a lot of the audience and a lot of the crew by not putting it all in the dialogue. But I think that's it. Also, we're asking for folks to really watch carefully, which the conventional wisdom is that audiences don't want to watch carefully, that they're watching on an iPhone, and that's just not our experience. It's our audience is smart.
And sometimes, what is it? Is it Billy Wilder who said, like, sometimes you give the audience 2 and 2 and let them enjoy making 4?
That's right.
Because we've shown them virtually
That's right.
all of the pieces of this scam. They just don't know how they're going to come together
That's
yet.
true.
We show a lot of the setup.
This is another favorite scene of mine.
I love Julie Pearl, who plays Erickson.
Yes.
She's aces.
Yeah, she's great.
Started out like not a very big part.
That's right.
Yeah, we just brought her in for an ADA in season 2. Just she's not happy with Mike for saying that he's gonna recant his testimony against Hector. But we liked
Against
her.
Tuco. Against
Yeah.
Tuco.
Oh,
yeah.
against Tuco. Sorry.
And
Yeah.
we shot that scene right in this
We
exact
did.
vicinity.
We did. It's probably behind that door,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
And this is actually the courthouse building that we shoot so much in.
And no one is contesting them as
And
weapons.
I love the fact that this room is not a conventional conference room, that there's a pillar there and there are all those doors. It just feels like a real space that you'd really be in. It's not 4 walls that someone put up on a stage.
City building.
City building, yeah.
Well, discovery.
That look.
Open Officer Platt's personnel.
Greatest poker face.
It's a reasonable
In show
radius
business.
culture. Officer Platt had a history with Mr. Babineau, and we'd like to know its extent.
And if there's any larger.
And these are hard roles for these guys, Amy and Colin, and so forth. Just because they get like one line, they have to nail it. They get one line that is full of jargon and has to be very precise because it has to be sort of feel like it's, jibes with what the legal words would be. And they have to do it right then, right there, and then get out.
Exactly. A lot of time those lines, as when you're an actor and you have one or two lines, it's much harder to pull off than a whole scene.
Yeah.
Bryan Cranston was always said that, was so kind to actors that would come in.
Yeah, the person who opens the door and says, "Excuse me, you have a phone call." It's, and that could also take down a scene if it's not. It's not there.
I remember on Breaking Bad there was a waiter role for the scene, the dinner scene that they had that took forever to find just because it was like they had that kind of thing. They had to be just the right level of like perfect waiter, and so
perfect waiterness.
Yeah,
that was the big scene with.
Yeah, without making it funny or about them or anything like that. It just sort of had to be
guacamole.
Yeah.
I think we saw like 50 guys.
We saw a ton of people for that.
Okay.
Can I just say that I love Ray and working with her, and she's so diligent about her work. A lot of the actors, like, some people share a house in Albuquerque?
Yes, they do.
Right?
They do.
And they're constantly like running lines at home, and they do rehearsals on the weekends, and it's just so nice to be in that kind of circumstance, because you don't get that when you're shooting in New York or Los Angeles, and it's just where everybody lives, and they go home, and it was just great. But she's just really goes deep.
She is absolutely. It's so true. She brings so much thought to it and so much intelligence. There he is again, acting from head to toe. Sometimes people wonder why we use wider shots on the show, and that's one reason. Is that you like what he's doing with his hands here? Tells you so much, gives so much context to it.
Is this just on a stage?
This is a separate warehouse. It's a location that we're kind of using as a stage. We did bring in these prefab houses, and then through the minds of Peter and Gordon and the writers, we brought in. There's a volleyball court. There's a basketball court. I think we fought off the pool, but there were a lot of ideas.
This is way bigger than any of our stages. It's actually a former solar panel manufacturing facility, which
we think it is the biggest empty warehouse in Albuquerque.
Talking about pouring hundreds of tons of concrete at a
it's an enormous space.
I guess you couldn't really fit an entire house on a soundstage.
You could, but you have other sets.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
One thing that's interesting about watching your footage, Jim, is that you give. Sometimes we see really different interpretations of the scene, and this is one where Jonathan. I remember there were two great different versions you could cut with the scene. One where Jonathan was very angry and agitated, and this one that we ended up using where he's cooler and very focused on whether his message is landing, and it's a wonderful thing to have a choice like that between two things that are both have integrity and both make perfect sense in the circumstances, and it was great.
And Rainer had also done a different take on the apology as well, right? I was thinking about that, where he almost like laughed through it a little bit, like, oh, I was a little, it's a little bit more like clueless about what Mike is presenting to him, and that didn't go in there because that didn't match Mike's response in terms of the level. But it was nice to oops.
Now our Judge Munsinger.
Ethan Phillips is so much fun.
Yeah.
So much energy.
All addressed to me, all from some backwater in Louisiana.
Back, he was in episode 4.
That's right.
He's kind of the perfect Better Call Saul actor, because he's real and grounded, but he's also funny.
He's really funny.
And that's a perfect
And
example.
specific.
A perfect example of an actor who came in originally for Mr. Neff.
That's right.
And he was great. And he was great. And it's like it often is. It was a really difficult choice So when we had Munsinger, we thought of, well, remember that guy who was so great as Neff? And it's an embarrassment of riches, really, with the actors who we get on the show.
Any of this has on the case? What is Mr. Babineau's relationship to his hometown? And did you say Louisiana?
Your Honor, this can't be a complete surprise to the Assistant District Attorney.
And Gordon, you write this legal dialogue so beautifully.
This was a complicated scam to figure out for us. Just
Oh my God.
to figure out how it could be direct enough, but also not so direct that it would start making somebody twig to the fact that there was a con being pulled. So it needed to be kind of angled at all the right places. So she doesn't send letters to the prosecutor. She sends them to the judge, who puts pressure on the prosecutor. And then the prosecutor needs to figure out why something has passed through their radar and what it is, and make her work for it.
It's so interesting because Jimmy's pitch in the last episode was, let's take down the cop. Let's impeach the cop's credibility. And Kim's plan here is, instead of lowering the cop, let's raise Huel.
Yeah.
And again, this is
dramatically raised.
This is a tricky scene here because we're in Julie's head. Julie is running the scene, and she's not one of our series regulars, but she holds the screen, and she's great. This whole scam hinges on Julie, on this character, because if she's not credible and real, and if you don't feel that she's a worthy opponent, then Jimmy and Kim are shooting fish in a barrel, which doesn't make any sense. But she has to make a real transition in this sequence. I was so worried about it, and it's something that we talked about a lot in prep. And I think it comes off great. And by the way, isn't there a story about Julie on this day?
Yeah, just a testament to how well she did. But there was a slight snafu in getting her sides to prepare for the day. So she didn't have about half this scene to prepare.
Oh no!
There was a mess up in the printing of it, and she rallied, and Bob was there reading lines with her, and she learned them on the day and really fast. And you would never know, I don't think, if you didn't know, because she just did such a great job of kind of pulling it together.
And there's another example. Bob, lead actor in the show, is coming in to read off screen. Typically in any other TV show, there'd be a PA, doing these lines off screen, and he was like, no, it's good. It's giving me a little rehearsal for it, and for her to be able to actually talk to the person it's just very unique. It's a very unique experience.
In year four, which is, it is unusual. And we are really, really lucky.
Yeah.
And
Bob's like tucked behind that back wall of one of those little cubicles for much of those shots.
Explain to me, is there some reason why Huel...
A very labor-intensive scam.
It was.
Got going.
Yeah.
Well, by the way, this is a real website you can go to.
That we had a separate stills unit for during Jim's prep, trying to create these scenarios.
Okay, so now we see the phones that he had been tagging and working on earlier, all set up. And Drama Girl.
Yes.
I'm so happy when we get Haley, Josh, and Julian on the show.
I'll tell you what I really think of you, but Jesus is listening, so I'll just say, shame on you!
And again, this is also, as Jim mentioned earlier, Chris McCaleb cut this episode.
Yeah.
And it's really beautifully put together.
Those are 4 characters in a tiny set with a bunch of phones everywhere. Not an easy.
I remember we pitched even more. I think we kept pitching ideas for these photos, and at a certain point, you guys had to just give me the hook and say that's going to have to do it. We wanted to have him catching a giant fish. But
cooking gumbo.
We got most of them.
We got a lot of those, yeah.
Hello there, Free Will Baptist, Pastor Hansford speaking.
Bob is somebody, I've been a fan of Bob's for a long time, since the original Mr. Show. And he had a character on Mr. Show by the name of Senator Howell Tankerbell, who was a senator from somewhere, probably Louisiana. And when we were pitching this scene, I was always hoping in the back of my mind that we'd have a little breath of Huel Tankerbell here. And by the way, if you haven't watched Mr. Show, please go out and watch it. But Bob just brings a smile to my face here. But it's a special thing that he's doing, because he's not just going into a sketch character. Mm-hmm. He is still Jimmy McGill playing a role, and he's enjoying himself so much. It's just, you really see the appeal of it. I just love it.
I suppose I would, but no.
But yeah, and I to what you were saying, Melissa, finding the staging that you did here, Jim, is so great, because it's like they really just have to kind of be packed. But this moment here, where he kind of turns around and finding like the little inflection points in the scene in a visual way, I don't know. It keeps the scene moving, and it's a phone call between two people who are basically planted. But finding those little levels is so important to kind of keep it moving. And I thought it was great.
And for the compositions to be as interesting as they are with the limited real estate is pretty amazing.
Yeah, the shot past the water heater is so cool.
Yeah, that was great. And we did an overhead shot, which has been in the show in this room before, and it's not in here.
Yeah,
I noticed that.
And then embarrassment of riches.
Yes, embarrassment of riches, so much.
Up to the windowsill. Well, Joe happened to be visiting his people, and he saw the smoke. Well, what did he do? He burst right in, and he carried out every last one of them oldsters.
And Jimmy's got that little flash of red in his sweater, because he's kind of up to no good.
We're usually pretty good on these commentary tracks about not stopping and watching the scene.
I know, but there's so much going on.
I think this is an example where the scene has so much going on that we can't help sort of watching it a little bit.
That's Bob.
But yeah. I think the other thing that I love about this scene is he is pulling a scam on her, but this moment, there's a sincerity here. I think he really means this.
I believe it's just a misunderstanding.
Yeah, because he knows it's him. He's the one that does. He's the friend who Huel was trying to help
That's
out.
true.
All of that. And he's as funny as he gets here. I think he does keep it kind of as a human being doing this role. Like he's having fun, but not too much fun.
No, Pastor. Thank you for your time.
I love Julian's reaction to that dude. Just what? What are you talking to me?
No, not yet.
Well, would you do me a kindness and ring me up when you do, because we got a couple of charter buses. We're gonna bring the whole congregation.
Watching it all dawn on
yeah,
AGA
this is not over.
Awesome.
I have one choice here.
She is just wonderful, but it's also, it's such detailed work.
I love it when you guys bring back actors who, maybe we weren't expecting to come back and have such a big role, and they do and do such a great job. It's great.
It really is. It is wonderful, and she really brought it. Both this episode and the previous one. She's terrific, and maybe we'll see more of her.
She might call back.
I'd sure like to.
Pick up every third caller. Okay, 30
He's kind of commanding here.
Yeah.
Stick to the script.
But he's putting a lot of faith in this threesome.
That's true.
So are we just supposed to?
But I think hopefully he's thinking, she hasn't called back. It's done. We've gotten. I landed the hook.
And also there's that whiteboard back there with all the little phrases. I think was that Bob wrote that? No,
he didn't.
He didn't?
No, it was actually somebody from the art department. He had a thought of like, are there these kinds of phrases? Is there anything to give kind of cues? And we came up with some that dressed in back there.
And he's got his tracksuits from episode 5 hung up there, which is great.
There's a lot going on in that little set. And that set, actually, that's one of the rare sets that's actually smaller than it looks on screen. There is nothing to it.
Thank you, Vince Gilligan.
That's right. Goes back to the pilot. It's great.
What's she going to do?
She's going to give him a talking to.
Well, I think they're
Hell
going
of
to
a
touch
talking to.
Now, didn't they smash the glass?
Yes, they broke it at one point, right? And then,
Yeah.
For good luck.
Smash
the glass for good luck. Now they're married, right?
That's
If you can. All right. You asked for it. Hello there.
This is such a great reveal that he's. This is like the most intimate I can remember ever seeing these two characters. This is a peak moment for them.
It's beautifully lit for that, to make that feeling of just like, oh.
Yeah.
Because they've been so cold for the last couple episodes. It's just been drifting apart.
And this episode.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
they're
up
so
until here.
frosty with
Yeah.
headphones. And that opening scene in the teaser.
Things have warmed up. As often seems a scam. Scam is the spark that lights the fire again. I wonder how long that can go on.
Infinitely, right? No, that's guaranteed to be
5 or 6 seasons.
Yeah, sure.
Played her hand. Oh, yeah.
Jim, what are you thinking about when you approach a scene like this? What's the first thing you do?
Well, script-wise, thinking about the reveal at the beginning, and these are always a little bit tricky in terms of like literal, like lining up the shots, because people are very close together, and so you want to know when you're going to cut it, how it's going to be cuttable. But just emotionally, this like you're talking about, this was a nice turn within the episode, and I think that was one of the main things to think about. This is a place where things really land, and then of course there's nudity issues or things like that you always have to talk about. And
It was a great idea you guys had that she's wearing his boxer shorts as she gets out of bed.
I liked his clothes on the floor too. You have these long conversations about, okay, exactly what happened when they came in the room.
Yeah.
Did how spontaneous was this? And then it plays out in where you put things and how you stage it.
It's an opportunity to retrench and meet our minimum.
And this was really interesting. Again, showing what's in her head here, because it's not spoken. They're in the middle of all this talk, and she's actually somewhere else. And I remember doing many takes with Ray, just like, how is this story gonna come off for the person watching it, that she's really kind of not there?
And that this is stoking like a storyline for another episode. That like, and again, it's very subtle. What launches them into Lubbock, Texas.
Possible, but what if we made the Lubbock branch the same as Tucumcari?
One thing I always enjoy is the relationship between these three characters, Kim and Kara and Rex, and then of course
Colin
Gordon, who is actually, I think we can reveal, is the spouse of our AD, Anna.
That's right. 2 talented people.
That's right. And they have an adorable child.
And one more on the way.
Really? Oh, I did not know that. It's a family affair here on Better Call Saul.
Yes.
I hate to say it, but it's unfeasible.
Okay.
And this is one of the first times we've seen Kim say no to Kevin, just to be like, no, really, that's a bad idea. So it's kind of a change for her to sort of stand up there.
Here we come.
Great. So looking.
And that doesn't feel great.
Something's up with Kim. And there's a little bit, it's a little ambiguous.
But like Jim was saying, one of the things with Ray is like, if she wants to know what thought processes are going on, because she knows that there's never going to be an inactive, absent look on her face. So she knows she wants it to be an active absence. If I'm drifting, what am I drifting to? What am I,
Space is closing in on rough final dimensions.
And she gives so much with every look.
She does.
And you can just see any thought she has passing over her face.
Those are real architectural plans.
And this is a scene that I did not get to direct because Giancarlo had broken his foot. Something had happened and he wasn't able to be there. And when I saw this, and in fact, I have it down on my list of things to do. I have to email. Who directed this?
This is Tom Schnauz.
I have to contact him. It's so beautifully staged, and it's great. It's really, really nice.
Oh, I know Tom will be really happy to know that you meets with your approval. It's not something we like to do. We really, there's no sense that that directors can direct whatever scene. This was force majeure, and so Tom stepped in, and it was nice for Tom because he normally directs an episode, and he got sick this year, and so he wasn't able to do that. So he got to direct this scene and a couple others throughout the season at the very end with Giancarlo.
And so Giancarlo cannot physically move.
That's right.
But you wouldn't know that is his situation because it is so.
That's right. He is
dynamically shot,
which is something that we'll talk about on a few of these commentary tracks.
Love that shot.
That shot is great.
Does the Super Lab set from Breaking Bad still exist? Like the
pieces of it do.
But this is all new.
That is, that's totally separate.
So Marshall Adams, the DP, we were trying to figure out how do we show this as written and as thought about, and he came up with that. I don't even know what you call it, some kind of telescoping tiny little lens that actually goes through the walls.
Oh, I love it.
Really wonderful. Marshall is great.
He is, and this building is super special.
It used to be a bank, so there's that little teller window.
And there was a compromise we had to make, which was this is next to a very, very busy street, so this is really tough for sound. But
thank you, Phil Palmer.
That is Phil Palmer and our whole post sound team did a great job with this.
What's up?
Nothing.
That space, also the Super Lab, it's very interesting to film in spaces that are so empty. And because usually you can fall back on like, let's shoot over the desk or let's have some foreground. And when you don't have that, it's challenging, actually. But that interior, I remember when you guys saw the pictures of that and you were like, okay, this is definitely special. I think people have been squatting in there.
I think so.
And there's like an immigration attorney in that office, in that little complex too.
There's a couple holding hands as they walk away.
This show mostly, we shoot on location a lot, and I think the locations are never exactly what you picture, but if you can, hopefully we adapt our ideas to suit the locations in some cases, and then it just brings so much reality to it. I love this.
Let's do it again.
She's gonna scam some more?
Yeah. And now, as Russell mentioned, this is our big introduction of Tony Dalton.
Lalo.
Nice
car that
is.
Yeah, his new ride, which is pretty snazzy.
And Lalo is a character that was mentioned but never seen.
Mentioned once in Breaking Bad, as in the introduction of Saul Goodman.
That's right.
He's afraid that Lalo has sent people to throw him in a shallow grave.
No, Lalo.
It was Ignacio.
Yeah. But of course, this is Nacho doesn't know who's in his space. He knows it's somebody that's clearly, you know, Domingo's alive. Domingo's alive, but he's just nervous about this guy. And when we were talking about this character, we were trying to find. We've seen all kinds of, you know, bad guys and heavies, and we wanted to find a different flavor for him. Somebody that was a little less, a little more having fun with life.
He's more into head games.
Yeah.
He's a real very smart game player.
Yeah.
And Tony just looks like he's having so much fun. He brings so much confidence.
And it's a different kind of scary.
Yeah.
It's great.
And also nice for the ladies and the gentlemen. Not so bad to look at.
Yeah. Good cook.
Good cook. Yeah.
These two guys play together so beautifully.
He's kind of the opposite of Gus, who's very internal.
That's true.
But it was interesting because, you know, you talk about him being threatening, and it's like, he is. He's not doing anything. It's just how he takes over. It's just how he takes over this space. It's like he's so in control of all of this space that he's never been in, that like it's daunting for.
It's a great piece of music,
And the way he
too.
switches between English and Spanish is just, it's incredible.
It's like his character signature.
Yeah.
Takes that power seat.
Yep.
And on someone's back.
Yeah.
There you go. What a great job.
I love that episode.
Yeah,
Great
me
job.
too. Me too. That's entertainment.
Let's watch another one.
Let's just keep going.
Yeah,
there were so
the
many
number
people.
is so many actors.
So many people.
So many people in this episode. And they were all
Kira,
great.
shout out to Kira again
Yes.
for casting so many, all those faces on the bus.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Let's do it again.